At this point, I just paint and start with color. I don't need to start with values, but I do keep my values in check from time to time. So starting with values only can really help you build your foundation. And as I mentioned, that the color is not extremely important. The values are extremely important, because if the values are correct, then the environment is believable. But if your color is somewhat off, it's still gonna be believable. Color does not play that much bigger role in designing environment. and and keep I would suggest to keep things simple in the beginning, and then when you are in the later stage, then you can design like this. Even though this is not the final stage, I'm still keeping it very very loose, and I'm keeping only one layer. Otherwise, in the final stage, I'll be using multiple layers. And now if I have any mistake, then I can just simply overpaint it. I don't need to be very accurate at this point. Also the use of a small brush can help create texture. As you can see that I've only used this one brush in this painting, and no texture brush. And with the same brush, I could come up with the texture that is giving the feel of detail. And if you are having a hard time coming up with this kind of detail, then you need to study from the nature, from the environment. Go out and take your sketchbook with you, and then you can learn from the nature. And also you can study from other great artists, and study from their works. I take the I take the landscape painters, and I take their work, and then recreate that in digital, and that gives me a new understanding, and that helps me become a better artist. Of course, the initial design, the initial silhouette was not final, and you can change that. Even the composition is not final. I can change whenever I want, and as I please. At this point, I'm using mostly a small brush, because the big things have been finalized in this. And and now I'm painting the sun. The sun is going to be very subtle because of the haze and atmosphere. The haze and atmosphere is extremely high in this painting. So the sun is not going to be able to affect the lighting condition that much. Trying to create some sort of environment condition, sometimes some sort of lighting condition that we get when there is some sort of cloud in front of the sun. All these things come from observing the real world. Using a different brush now to come up with new texture and new details. I also use this kind of brush from time to time because this is a flat brush and it has some texture in it. It is also very helpful. Trying to give some sort of mushroom like structure to the background mountain. This kind of structure is giving the feel of alien landscape. At this point, it is near to the stage where I wanted to take it to before going into the photo bashing stage. But I'm trying to just give some more detail and adjust. And this part is helpful. It's not just blind detailing. Sometimes we tend to blindly add a lot of detail in it when it is not necessary. But I'm really trying not to go that far, but still give some detail to it before I jump into the photo using before I jump into the photo bashing, and because that will help me as a base for me to start photo bashing. Some sort of rock formation in front of the building. Variation of values is always a good thing, but just keep in mind that do not overdo it, and learn you have to learn to apply just enough that it makes it interesting and not overdo it. And overdoing it will make your work look chaotic. Giving some sort of alienish feel to the background mountain. And if you look at these shapes, you can see that every shape is pointing towards that building. And we have discussed that in the composition, how things create a line, an imaginary line. It creates and different shapes point towards the focal point. So this is very useful technique to create a compelling composition and to keep the eye of the viewers to whatever we want them to see. All I'm doing at this point is just adding and subtracting different elements, adding new things and removing the parts which I don't like, and also trying to experiment. I don't have to stick to it I don't have to stick to what we have just created. We can improve upon it and add completely new things too. So you can do whatever you like as long as the composition is okay. Creating some foreground elements, maybe some kind of rock formation in the left side of the foreground. It's just the same technique used throughout, just picking up the values from different parts and applying it. So to recap what we did in this module, we started with our basic composition sketch. We also did our design exploration of the building, and with the sketch we divided it into 3 distinct value structure: light, medium, dark, and we divided our sketch into foreground, midground, and background levels. And we also gave some detailing and we sketched it to the point where we can safely take it to the next level and start to photo bash it. So I hope you have learned new techniques in this and the way to create environment design.